Hi, Nate.
Hi, Alejandro. Hey.
How you doing?
I'm great, thanks. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Where are you?
I'm on a little vacation at Joshua Tree, Southern California.
Oh, my goodness. I've always wanted to go there, man. What's it like? Tell me everything. How many times have you been there, and what's the weather like and the landscape and the whole thing?
It's a deep desert. There's not much here. There's no trees, just the Joshua trees, but it's basically like little cactuses. They kind of look a little bit like a tree. And, mountains and snow. We passed this snowstorm on the way here. It's really cold in Southern California right now. It's pretty cool.
So you say you're on a vacation, and this means that you've been hard at work on the new album. How long has this process taken?
Yeah. So it's our 10th record, which is pretty great. We were coming up on our 25th anniversary when we started to think about the recording of it. So, I think that informed a bit how we approach the recording and what the songs are going to be like. Wanted to, make a record that was a bit lighter, something kind of accessible and with some space in it, and maybe work with the rhythm section to create something that's a little groovier, and just experiment. David mentioned early on, the only thing that he said about what the record might sound like is like, I think it should be our Let's Dance. And I love that idea. I think there's going to be all kinds of opportunities for bass playing or something like that. That's maybe a bit poppier than what we ordinarily do. And that was a template, like Let's Dance had come after some complicated records for Bowling Rings in Berlin phase, and then popped out with this like pieces of, like a box candy. So that was really the idea going in. And then we decided to work with Greg Kirsten again, who is a fantastic producer, does all kinds of things. He'll do anything from like the Shins to Katy Perry. Very talented jazz musician that brings that kind of depth of musical knowledge here. We wanted to use him again because it works really well on Concrete and Gold, and it seemed like it would fit in with the kind of record we were trying to make this time. And then we had to figure out where to record it and how to do it. And that ended up kind of an accident, really. They was renting a house in Encino, California, which is a little suburb of Los Angeles. And he was renting it to write in, and was demoing drums in there, and realized they had a great drum sound. And the house was dumb. It was absolutely not a hospitable place for recording, but it did have that quality to it. So we thought, okay, well, let's move some gear in here and just record, this in this house. It's got this great drum sound. So we packed in and recorded it. Thankfully, we got it all done prior to COVID, so we didn't have to worry about, any of the safety protocols surrounding that. The only hitch was then what to do with this record that we were excited about, how to put it out in the world when everybody's movement was so restricted.
You said this album, you started working on this album with an idea of making it more accessible because of the whole 25-year anniversary. What makes this album more accessible than, say, the others?
Well, I think that it hasn't got songs like, The Darkest Blues Are Black or, something like White Limo. It's not a lot of heavier, aggressive kind of songs. So I think that's part of it. The arrangements aren't particularly complicated. If you look at pop arrangements, actually they can be subtly very complicated, but you don't notice it. It's not like prog rock where it's like, okay, you're doing something tricky musically here. It kind of happens more subtly. So I think it was keeping things like that in mind.
Did the political landscape of the United States of America, as it has been over the course of these 4 years, play a role in the songwriting of the album?
I see. Nothing too explicit, and nothing that they've shared with the rest of the band. or we discussed as we were writing things. It's been a tricky 4 years. It's the water we swim in right now. It's everywhere, so it can't help but obviously, and inform what you're doing somewhat. But we've never been a particularly overtly political band, and I think that we kind of carried on with that tradition with this album.
You mentioned COVID and the process of the album happening before COVID, but I want to ask you if this album was also created with the entire stadium rock reputation and awareness that you have as a band in mind.
Well, if I understand the question correctly, that's where we get to see how the music lives in the world when we play live, right? So you always have an ear for that. And I remember early on, Dave was right. You talk about writing a song and with a particular tempo and beat in mind, so that it would do something in particular at a festival. Like writing a song with what it's going to be like to play at a festival in his mind, which I thought was pretty clever and smart, because when I write songs, I'm just trying to write a good song, and like whatever happens with it after that, that's just that's what happens. But to actually write with a design in mind, I thought that was pretty clever, because that's when we see how people listen to the music. It's right there. There's no guesswork involved. So I know that you definitely have an eye towards how the music's going to play live when we're recording it. Definitely.
Tell me about Waiting on a War.
Yeah. That song, there's a little bit of back and forth on how to record that one. We knew it was going to be maybe one of the stronger songs on the record. It just had one of those melodies that gave it a shot at being one of the stronger songs. So pay particular attention in order to record it. And with this album, we built the tracks up in the studio, which is something that we don't ordinarily do. It's just kind of a process of putting the drums down and then adding instruments and experimenting and just trying to get towards the song that way, as opposed to having played the song of the band and then being able to go in and just record it. So we tried a couple of different things with that, and then landed on the dynamic that we eventually chose, which is to have the front part of the song be pretty sparse and then kind of kick into a crescendo at the end. That felt like the most effective way to do it. And in terms of the lyrics, that might be that one is probably the song that is closest to having something to do with the political moment in terms of the lyrics. There's just when you listen to it, Waiting on a War, you're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. There's tension in the air, and it's about the uncomfortable feeling of feeling like it could burst forth into something dark at any moment.
What about No Son of Mine? What can you tell me about that song?
Well, that song, it almost doesn't belong on the album. We have to have a song. I think it would have been maybe bold to not have No Son of Mine on there, because that's a song that, going back to your earlier question, is going to work live. Like that, this is going to be awesome when we play this one live. Is it on the record? I don't know. I like the song, but it's it is heavier, and it does doesn't have a lot of the characteristics of some of the other songs on the album. It doesn't necessarily fit. I like it. Again, that one, without diving into the lyrics too much, I think there's two, and I'm only bringing this up because you asked the question, but that is the other song that you could find some relevance in the current political moment.
And finally, of all the three songs, tell me what you think about Shame, Shame. What can you tell our Colombian audiences about Shame, Shame?
I remember playing the album for my wife when it was finished, and that was the one that she latched onto right away. It's like, oh, that song's amazing. Shame, Shame. And I loved it too, because it's probably of the songs on the album the one that most represents I think what we were trying to go for is done with a drum loop, which we never do. So it's, it's a very sort of pop production way of making an album something I never thought we would, work with. But it's fun to do that and have that experimentation. It's like it's a simple riff, it's got space in it, and it's more about the rhythm track and the atmosphere. It's not as in your face as most Foo Fighters songs. I like it because it genuinely, to me, feels like a stretch and trying something new.
Nate, over the course of these 25 years, what can you tell me about your experience playing with the Foo Fighters? What this ride has been like for you?
Oh man, there's been eras, so it's obviously hard to encapsulate in one short sentence. It's completely transformed my life. I grew up playing in rock bands when I was a kid. I was on tour when I was still in high school, booking my own shows, and to be able to have as much success with this band as we have, and just be able to continue to do it and to and to do it well, I think has been something I'm enormously grateful for. I'm grateful for our fans. I can't believe all the people I've been able to meet, places we've been able to go. And, at the end of the day, it's just something that I think I can be proud of. Like, I've got very young children now, and be able to bring them to shows and kind of explain to them what the Foo Fighters is, and have them meet like Uncle Chris or Uncle Pat. Like, these people are family to me now, and that's something that I really cherish.
How did it feel playing and performing for President-elect Biden at the inauguration celebration in the telecast at night?
I'm going to say proud. I was proud to be a part of that. It was a moment of tremendous relief for me, and I think for a lot of the country. And inaugurations for me is something I've never really paid any attention to, but it felt like a celebration. I think it's important to mention that. It really did feel like something different than past inaugurations, and to be able to be a part of that and help make that celebration happen was incredible. And then also there's the COVID element, which is just strange. We weren't there. There was no place for us to go. And we had to record that in our studio and send it out to be part of the broadcast. Doesn't diminish from the fact that we were able to do it and be a part of it, but it's just a reminder that, these are strange times, and we'll always be a part of that memory. We just recorded that in our studio and sent it off.
I'm pretty sure you're looking forward to going back to playing all these songs, especially now that the 25th anniversary is coming or is happening. But would you take a wild guess as to when that is going to happen for the Foo Fighters again? When do you think we're going to see you perform again at the stadium here in Colombia?
It's interesting that nobody knows. Just nobody knows. I could throw my 2 cents in there and say how I'm personally planning it. I think we'll probably play some kind of shows this summer. We have things booked. I think they're going to happen. What they're going to look like in terms of how close they are to the type of shows that we're all accustomed to having, I don't know. And I think that things will normalize through the fall and into winter. And then sometime next year, hopefully, this will all be a memory.
We look forward to seeing you play again, man. It's always been a pleasure. I've seen you play. I think you're the band I've seen perform the most in my entire life. I've seen you perform more than 5 times in my lifetime, and I hope there's enough time in my lifetime to see you perform another 5 times. I wish you the best. I wish you and all the guys the best. We love you very much. From Colombia, happy anniversary, and looking forward to hearing the entire Medicine at Midnight, Nate.
Oh man, well, hey, thanks for saying that. Thanks for being a fan for these many years, and it's been nice talking to you.
It's been great. Take care. Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year to you too. See you later.
Bye.